everyone. I warmly welcome you to the first English debate of the year in the intermediate division. The topic for today is one should shop only for what one needs. Our judges for today are Mr. James, Mrs. Crispin, Mrs. DeCosta, and Mr. Nanda. The order in which the four houses will be speaking today is Condon, Foy, Pal, and then Allen. May I remind the speakers that they shall be given 4 minutes to express their views. After 3 minutes, a bell shall be rung, and after the 4th minute, the second bell shall be rung. After a speaker has concluded their debate, members of the other teams are permitted to ask 2 questions. If they do not do so within 30 seconds, the speaker will be awarded full marks for rebuttal. So I do urge all of you to ask questions. Please ensure that the questions you ask are concise and based on the content of the speaker's debate. Without further ado, I shall now call upon the first speaker, Naisa Sachdev of Condon House, to come and express her views for the motion.
With the permission of the chair, I would like to start my debate. In a world overflowing with consumer options and relentless marketing strategies, it is crucial to take a step back and evaluate the impact of our shopping habits on ourselves. Good afternoon to the August gathering. Today, I, Naisa Sachdeva of Condon House, am going to convince you that one should shop only for what one needs. I will present 3 primary reasons in support of this perspective. In today's world, where even the tiny pieces of candy we eat cost 5 to 10 rupees, do imagine the amount of money we are wasting on things that our generation has deemed cool or aesthetic. When we limit our purchases to essential items, we can better manage our finances, avoid unnecessary debt, and build a savings cushion for emergencies and future investments. The allure of sales and discounts often trick us into believing that we're getting a good deal. But are we really? Ladies and gentlemen, in reality, we may be purchasing an item that holds no real value in our lives. Focusing on our needs encourages mindful budgeting, ensuring resources are used effectively. In context of today's topic, hoarding refers to the excessive acquisition and inability to discard possessions, often leading a person to be disorganized. While compulsive buying and hoarding are distinct, there are overlaps, where excessive shopping leads to hoarding behaviors. This can develop into an uncontrolled and distressing issue for a person to cope with, and not to mention the amount of financial, emotional, and mental strain forced upon them. Which brings me to my next argument, mental well-being. The pressure to keep up with trends often leads to feelings of inadequacy, anxiety, and stress. When we free ourselves from the burdens of consumer culture, we can focus more on experiences that truly enrich our lives. By curbing impulsive and unnecessary purchases, we can foster a sense of contentment for what we already possess, thereby enhancing our mental health. Imagine a group of high school friends eager to wear the latest trends from social media platforms like TikTok or Instagram. Each week, a new style emerges, leading the teens to feel pressurized to keep up with those trends, resulting in impulsive purchases from fast fashion retailers that offer low prices and rapidly changing styles. That, in simple terms, is overconsumption. But what exactly is overconsumption? Well, it is the excessive use of goods that will later become depleted and cause damage. One should learn how to differentiate between their wants and their needs. Our needs are something that are essential for living a normal life, while our wants are something we desire just because we find them visually appealing or desirable. While side opposition may argue between our wants and our needs, indirectly meaning the same thing, we should instead observe the practicality and non-practicality of the object we are so keen on buying, and if the purchase is really worth your time, money, and effort. In conclusion, shopping only for what one needs is not just a personal mantra, it's a philosophy. By embracing this mindset, we can make wiser decisions for ourselves. I urge you all to reconsider your shopping habits and to recognize the power of restraint and intentionality in a world that urges us to consume more. Thank you.
Questions? Almost. Madam Speaker, you mentioned in your debate that we should learn how to differentiate between our wants and our needs.
So don't you think wants and needs is actually a very relative subject which is different for everyone?
Thank you for your question, Madam Interjector. With the permission of the chair, I would like to answer. Madam Interjector, the basic needs I know of are food, water, and clothes. Food and water are very easily accessible for a lot of people due to charities and government agencies. Clothes, that's the topic you wanted to state here. Clothes, there is something I stated in my debate about overconsumption. People, mainly teens, ages 13 to 18, feel pressurized to, keep up with those trends that our generation has deemed cool. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Alright.
Madam Speaker, you mentioned mental health in your debate. For some people, retail therapy is a very good way to cope with for mental stress. What are your thoughts about this?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Interjector. With the permission of the chair. Mr. Interjector, yes, I did state in my debate about mental well-being. I also stated that us as students, us as teens, obviously feel pressurized to follow our friends, to follow in the footsteps of our friends, that they're buying these clothes, they're buying this lip balm. So even I want to buy it. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. I shall now call upon Manan Agarwal speaking against the motion.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges and fellow debaters. Today I, Manan Agarwal of Condon House, stand before you to challenge the notion that one should shop only for what one needs. While this idea may seem practical at first glance, it overlooks the profound complexities of human behavior, the economy, and the society at large. Firstly, let us talk about the psychological aspects of shopping. Shopping is not just about acquiring goods, it's also an emotional and social experience. For many individuals, shopping serves as a form of self-expression, creativity, and even therapy. The act of purchasing something that one may not strictly need can elevate one's mood and provide joy. In a world that often feels overwhelming, indulging in a small luxury, a new pair of shoes, a trendy gadget, or a beautifully crafted piece of art can provide a much needed sense of happiness and satisfaction. Banning ourselves from these indulgences would lead to increased feelings of deprivation and dissatisfaction in our lives. Moreover, let's talk about the economy. Consumer spending is a significant driver of economic growth. When people buy more than the essentials, they are supporting local businesses, creating jobs, and stimulating innovation. Businesses thrive on demand, and that demand is not only fueled by necessity but also by desire. By limiting our shopping to strictly needed items, we risk stalling economic progress, leading to increased unemployment, reduced innovation, and a sluggish recovery from economic downturns. It's crucial to recognize that our choices, not just necessities but also discretionary spending, impact our communities and the economy at large. Additionally, let's consider the implication of this mindset on the concept of quality over quantity. Often, when we confine ourselves to solely what we need, we offer the bare minimum, cheap items that may not be sustainably produced or ethically sourced. However, when we allow ourselves the flexibility to shop for items we want or desire, we become more inclined to invest in quality goods that are made with care and that align with our values. This paradigm shift can encourage sustainable shopping practices and contribute to a healthier planet. Many social activities and cultural events require purchase beyond basic needs. Attending a concert, celebrating a special occasion, or participating in a hobby often involves discretionary spending. In conclusion, while the principle of shopping only for what we need may have its merits in promoting frugality and responsibility, it ultimately falls short of recognizing the fundamental aspects of human experience. Our desires and emotions are intricately woven into the fabric of consumption. Instead of restricting our needs to mere necessities, we should embrace a balanced approach that consider our needs, our wants, and the impact of our choices on ourselves, the community, and the economy. So let us shop wisely, but let us also shop joyfully, recognizing the power of experience, expression, and connection in our purchase decisions. Thank you.
Alan House.
Mr. Speaker, you mentioned in your debate that shopping can be therapeutic.
Don't you think if we spend time in nature and just spend time with ourselves, that will be a better form of therapy and will be more cheaper? Please comment.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Director. With the permission of the chair, I would like to answer. Yes, I think spending time in nature would be a form of therapy, but shopping is also a form of therapy. For some people, shopping can be a better form of therapy. Thank you.
Panos,
Mr. Speaker, how can you say that buying things can lead to happiness, as later on we can also feel financially strained?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Director. With the permission of the chair, I have clearly mentioned in my debate to embrace a balanced approach that consider our needs and our wants. While shopping, we get good vibes to our mind. Thank you.
thank you, Manak. I now call upon Privith from Foyer House to present his views for the motion.
Quote, the more things you own, the more they own you. Unquote. Tyler Durden, Fight Club. And honestly, I couldn't agree more. And I'll prove to you in 4 strong constructive arguments. Good afternoon, Madam Chairperson, honorable judges, and my worthy friends. Whenever we buy something we do not need, we're adding to environmental destruction. Let's talk about technological clutter. Think about all those gadgets piling up in your drawer. Last year's phone, a barely used smartwatch, and the latest version of that laptop you only use for checking emails. The tech industry is notorious for pushing 2.0 versions of gadgets on us and constantly driving us to upgrade them, even though our current ones work just fine. In fact, a study from the Global E-Waste Monitor says that in 2019 alone, the world generated 53.6 million metric tons of electronic waste, most of it coming from discarded electronic gadgets that no one truly needs. When we only buy what we need and cut off on unnecessary upgrades, we not only reduce e-waste but also the environmental toll that comes from buying new devices. When we buy what we don't need, we don't only add to physical clutter but also mental clutter. In India, the rise in consumer debt is directly linked to the rise in increased stress and tragic outcomes like suicide. A research from the National Crime Records Bureau says that financial stress, mostly because of unpaid debt, is one of the main causes of suicides. Now let's be honest, people. Retail therapy sounds great until the credit card bill shows up. A research from the National Endowment of Financial Education says that 60% of people regret their impulsive buys. Remember that time you splurged on a gadget you absolutely needed, only for it to gather dust a week later? When we only buy what we truly need, it shows that we are being mindful and balanced in life. Everyone's needs are different. What I need might not be the same as yours, or what someone in Uttarakhand or Africa needs might be completely different too. Recognizing this difference helps us grow, build empathy, and appreciate what we already have. This teaches us to focus on the essentials and avoid getting distracted by unnecessary desires. This approach not only helps us grow as people, but also helps us stay aligned with our values. When you invest only on things you truly need, you can invest in higher quality items. For example, a pair of shoes. Instead of buying 5 cheap, trendy pair of sneakers, you can buy one good sturdy pair of sneakers that will last a long time. Like I recently bought a yoga mat, and I don't even do yoga. I used it twice till now. Once to roll it out and pretend I was going to exercise, and the second time to use it as a rug for my cat at home. It feels like I'm training my cat for the Olympics with that thing. When we only buy what we truly need, it shows that we're appreciating what we already have. Sure, it's tempting to buy whenever a new model comes out. Take a car, for example. But if you stop and think, this car still gets me where I need to go, and that slightly scratched bumper, not a problem. The fact that it still drives, perfect. Now, I'd like to conclude in the words of Warren Buffett. If you buy things you do not need, soon you'll have to sell things you need. Are you ready? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, in your debate, you said that shopping leads to stress. But for some people, maybe shopping is a way for relieving stress after a hard day.
Thank you for your question. But don't you think in a long run, having more things in your house and having more things to take care of, which you do not need to take care of, is more stressful? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, you said that shopping for what we want can harm the environment. But don't you think that this actually depends upon the person, how environmentally responsible they are? Because someone who is buying the essentials could also harm the environment.
Thank you for your question. Yes, no, I do not agree with you, because when we buy things we do not need, we are just adding to environmental destruction, as I mentioned in my debate, because you do not need them and you're basically using them for no reason and then throwing them out. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. We now have Naisha Shah from Foy House speaking against the motion.
W.E.B. Du Bois wisely said, "No universal selfishness can do social good to all." Good afternoon, Madam Chairperson, honorable judges, and my worthy opponents. As my first constructive argument, I would like to be speaking about balance. While one should certainly shop for what one needs, limiting ourselves to only buying what we need is a very selfish approach. Think about it. When we buy beyond what we need, we're not only enriching our own lives, but we're supporting businesses, fueling economy, and creating jobs. When we strictly focus on what's necessary, we miss out on opportunities to contribute in broadening our society. Reduced consumer spending isn't just a slowdown, it is a disaster. When people start spending less, layoffs happen, demands drop, investments stop, and businesses struggle. With deflation, consumers hold off on buying, henceforth freezing the economy. Less spending also means less tax revenue for government, cutting off essential services. Our economics teacher has taught us well enough to know that if everyone in the world thought like this, the economies would be in a cycle of stagnation, uncertainty, and loss of confidence. What are the basic things I need? Gosh, life would be so colorless and boring. Picture this. No music to lift up your spirit. No books to get lost in. No art to fuel your creativity. No cozy blankets for those rainy days. No coffee to kickstart your mornings. And no fun gadgets to make life more easier and cool. It's like living in a black and white world where survival is all you've got. But the true kind of living, the one you find joy in, is nowhere to be found. Those so-called non-essentials are the ones that are bringing vibrance and flavor into our lives. While you're focused on self-growth and fulfillment, you're also helping the singer that is chasing their dreams, the weaver who crafted your blanket, the farmer who grew your coffee, and the innovators who are in need for encouragement for their ideas. It's a win-win for both you and the world around you. While my worthy friends may argue that I'm contributing to clutter, I'd like to point out that thrift stores do exist. After all, one man's stash is another man's treasure. Buying non-essentials doesn't mean excess. It means promoting reuse. By selling or giving away what we no longer need, we're contributing to a cycle of generosity and sustainability. Sometimes we buy things not because we need them, but as a future investment. Take, for example, the people who rushed to America during the land rushes when they found out that that land was being given away. Ladies and gentlemen, they did not need that land at that time, but they saw potential for future wealth in it. Similarly, a piece of land, an artwork, or just an item that you don't need today could be the key to a more secure future. It isn't about impulse buying. It's about managing your finances and securing a little treasure chest for tomorrow. After all, who does not want to invest today for a richer tomorrow? Limiting ourselves to buying only what we need is like denying ourselves the richness of life's possibilities. The true essence of living isn't just about surviving. It's about experiencing, growing, and embracing the unexpected joys that come with discovery. Material wealth may offer comfort, but it's curiosity, generosity, and creativity that bring meaning. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's not just buy to fill a need. Let's buy with purpose, passion, and intention to create a life that's more vibrant and full of potential. Thank you.
Questions? Pallav?
Our ancestors from about 3000 years ago, they did not have access to coffee or music or electronics. How did they remain happy and satisfied with their life? If in today's time, we can't.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Interjector. But what we're talking about today here is our generation and not our ancestors. For our ancestors, maybe there were things that weren't needs but were wants, and maybe they were arguing about that. But today, as a collective here, we are in the future, and we're talking about what we need that some people may think are wants. What I need and what is making me happy may be a want for you, but it is the one thing that's making me happy. Thank you so much.
Pallav?
Madam Speaker, you said in your debate that without buying our wants, our life would be colorless and without any meaning. Don't you think people who can't afford it don't want to enjoy their life? Please state your views.
Thank you for the question, Madam Interjector. But the people who can't afford it have different needs and wants than us. Their wants are the things that they can afford, like maybe like simple things that may be needs for their society, like the people who can't afford that and who are earning less. The things that may be wants for them, maybe needs for the others. So people may be confused about like what they want and what they need. If they can't afford those things, those wants that they can afford are bringing them happiness. And for other people who think that their wants are not their needs, basically what I'm trying to say here is that when you're talking about people who can't afford these things, well, the people who can't afford these things have different wants and needs than us. Their wants are in their affording category, and the things that they can afford are the things that are keeping them happy.
Thank you, Manisha. We now have Anya Singh from Pal House speaking for the motion.
Good afternoon to the House at large. Today I, Anya Singh of Pal House, stand before you to present my views for the motion, that is, one should only buy what one needs. To prove my stance, I will be using 4 constructive arguments. My first constructive argument speaks about the difference between want and need. Ladies and gentlemen, in our generation, the difference between want and need is slowly but surely fading. We confuse necessity with luxury. Essential things that we use in our daily lives we classify as need, while on the other hand, things we buy for momentary happiness without any future purpose we classify as want. The want of being accepted in our friend circles also plays a major role in the constant need and want battles in our head. The never-ending want of having the latest trending clothes or products leads us to make impulsive decisions like buying unnecessary things that we might just want but do not need. My second constructive argument speaks about the wastage of money and resources in the overwhelming need of wanting more. Our parents, ladies and gentlemen, have worked hard to earn money for necessities like food, electricity and water. But our generation goes and wastes their money on overpriced clothes, shoes and products while we should be saving this very money for our future education. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all growing children. Our body structure keeps changing over the years. So these necessary clothes that we need to buy will soon either be too big or too small. Why waste money on something that is so overpriced that we will anyway outgrow or throw away than spend money on something that is exactly the same and we can buy at a lower price and get in good quality? My third constructive argument speaks about consensuous consumer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure everyone here will agree with me when I say shopping is addictive, but retailers make it irresistible to us. Consensuous consumerism means shopping in ways you believe make a positive social impact. To bring real changes, things need to change systematically. Effort should be directed towards climate, pollution, and environmental preservation, like creating your own style and not imitating others due to peer pressure, because ladies and gentlemen, in the end, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Plan ahead and set a budget so that we do not overspend or make shopping a whole lot easier. We should not overbuy just because it appears more cost effective to do so. While buying more might temporarily lower the unit cost, we risk the need for warehousing or having obsolete items as specifications may change. You may even end up with totally useless inventory. My fourth and last constructive argument speaks about shopping addiction or buying binges. This type of shopping may feel like a quick fix for stress, anxiety, or even boredom, but it often leaves people feeling regretful and empty later on, because, ladies and gentlemen, compulsive shopping is not a permanent solution. It also leaves people feeling financially strained afterwards. Due to this, one buys so much that we lose value for our belongings, thus keeping it very carelessly. While on the other hand, when we only buy what we need, we learn responsibility at a young age, because we only have a limited amount and we need those things to last longer. Ladies and gentlemen, the less you have, the less you have to worry about. To conclude my stance, I would just like to say, buy less, choose well, and make it last. Thank you.
Questions? May I remind all the speakers that if you do not ask questions, the speaker will be awarded full marks for the rebuttal. So I do urge you to ask questions. Condon House.
Madam Speaker, you mentioned in your debate that the clothes we buy often outgrow us, but don't you think if we want to make good use of them again, even if we don't wear them anymore, people give them to charities and it does not lead to overconsumption? What are your views on that?
Thank you for your question, Madam Interjector. We might give these clothes for charity, but our harm is done. And in my debate, I said that we buy overpriced clothes that we will anyway outgrow or throw away. But we can buy those exact same clothes at less price than buy at an expensive price. Just because of the brand, just because of peer pressure, we buy more expensive clothes just because we want to show off to our friends that, oh, I can also afford from H&M or Westside. When we can buy the exact same thing at a lower price. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, you mentioned in your debate that we shouldn't buy things because of peer pressure. But don't you think that if we don't follow up in the trends and what other people in our age group is doing, then we'll be left out and we'll feel lonely?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Interjector. No, I do not feel that, because I feel that your friend circle should accept you as you are and they should not judge you on the basis of your clothes, but on the basis of your personality. And I feel that if you're trying to fit into this type of friend circle, then I'm sorry, you're choosing the wrong friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. We now have Wynberg-Allen from Pal House speaking against the motion.
Good afternoon to everyone present in the house. Today, I, Wynberg-Allen, have a question for you. Why do you have so many things? Don't answer that. It was a rhetorical question. We have all heard the term shopaholic, but we prefer being called a shopping enthusiast because we understand that the act of shopping, when done within reason and moderation, can be quite beneficial to our lives. These benefits range from the most surface level, that is, I want the thing, I bought the thing, and I now have the thing, to more complex benefits such as mental health satisfaction, self-esteem, and creative expression. There are many reasons we buy things that we do not need, such as a good deal along with temptation, a satisfaction which tells me that I need to add an item to my personal collection of items. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that right. collection. Also, isn't it fun to buy things for the future? Ever purchased a gift for a friend and then decided that, oh, I want one for myself too? I have done that. And this is true generosity. Shopping gives me confidence and reminds me of who I am. It's no wonder we are not convinced by the fact that appearances don't matter. We live in a world where what we wear does matter. We know it is a way to signal to other people who we are. We know this because we have looked at other people the same way, to communicate and to connect with other people. Can you imagine where the world of science would be if Sir Isaac Newton hadn't been curious why things went down and not up? That would have been a total disaster. This same curiosity compels us to buy things that we do not need by definition, like softer insoles for your very expensive shoes, or a back scratcher because you're too lazy to reach your hand back there. And shopping feels good too, except your wallet might not like it too much. Speaking of which, where does the money you spend on Netflix and Air Jordans and Gucci jackets go? To the world's economy. A very large, and I mean humongous chunk of the world's economy is dominated by brands that sell status, not products. Without these brands, life would be really dull and slow. No BMW to drive around, no shopping sprees to make you feel happy and special, just flour and potatoes and rice in every store you go to. All the basic needs, nothing to help people make profit or sway the masses. Moreover, if these companies were to stop existing, the happiness levels of most people would go way down. As would the economy, it would plummet. Shopping can be seen as a pastime, as well as a way to reward yourself for working hard. When you're working towards a goal, you're more likely to stick to it if there's an additional reward for you. Think of it like a video game. In order to reach the maximum level, you must complete a small portion of the goal, say 2 levels, and you'll get a small reward and dopamine to keep you interested. When I am working towards a goal, I push myself to work even harder so that I can reward myself later by impulse shopping. I believe that rewards enhance productivity. So whenever I shop, I reward myself by splurging at something that I love. Thank you.
Almost.
Mr. Speaker, you mentioned buying non-essential things leads to mental satisfaction. So don't you think that that satisfaction is not permanent? It's temporary. So which will later lead to regret and clutter. So spending time with friends and family is much more satisfying, that will not even lead you to clutter and regret. Please comment.
To your question, I would like to answer that shopping is mostly not done alone. You don't randomly go to a shop alone. You mostly take a friend or a family member with you when you go to a shop for shopping. And spending the same time with your family and friends at home can be quite boring as compared to going out. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, you said that shopping gives you confidence in your debate, but don't you think that the same shopping, when it goes to your house and becomes useless, feels like clutter and makes you feel suffocated and underconfident in your own house? And it also affects your financial well-being because you can't keep buying things just to make yourself feel confident.
Thank you for the question. Sorry, can you repeat your question, please?
You said in a debate that shopping gives you confidence, but don't you think that when those things go back home and become clutter after some time, they make you feel suffocated and underconfident in your own house, and they also affect you financially because you cannot keep buying things just to make yourself feel confident. Thank you.
No, shopping does give me confidence. It makes me feel like I fit in. And when those things go home, they do not just become clutter. They can be used in other ways. For example, when I buy shoes, say new shoes, branded shoes, I wear them, and when they get worn out, I donate them to charity, making myself feel good again. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Vic. I now call Arab Consola from Allen House to speak for the motion.
British fashion designer Vivienne Westwood once said, "Buy less, choose wisely, and make it last." Good afternoon to the house at large. The world today is becoming increasingly materialistic. Faster cars, more clothes, endless accessories, luxurious vacations, and the latest iPhones. We are trapped in an endless quest for more and more and more. This obsession with more has made us forget what truly matters. In even some cases, parents have lost sight of their wandering toddlers while shopping for expensive clothes or designer watches. Festivals like Raksha Bandhan and Diwali, once celebrations of love and tradition, are now just about who gives the most expensive gifts. When we choose to shop wisely, we don't just consider what we can afford, but also how our choices impact the world. Allow me to explain through some constructive arguments, the first one being financial responsibility. Spending beyond our needs leads to debt and financial stress. By focusing on necessities, we ensure financial stability and a secure future. Mindful purchasing helps us avoid unnecessary expenses, allowing us to save, invest, and use resources wisely. My second constructive argument dwells on environmental impact. An overconsumption of consumer goods leads to increased waste and pollution. The plastic packaging of these goods take hundreds of years to decompose, thereby harming not just the environment but also harming the animals, marine life, and birds. The demand of unnecessary goods fuels deforestation and pollution, destroying the planet for future use. Not such a bad deal, is it? Moving on to my third constructive argument. Having less in life equals a more peaceful life. Too many belongings creates unnecessary stress. A simpler life means fewer distractions, less time spent cleaning and organizing, and more time for personal growth and meaningful connections. We don't need to shop to entertain ourselves. Reading, spending time with family, friends, neighbors, and outdoor activities bring more joy than material things ever could. Coming to my final constructive argument. True happiness comes from meaningful experiences. Many people shop to feel better, but the joy of material things fades quickly, leaving behind clutter and regret. Instead of chasing temporary happiness through possessions, we should invest in experiences like trekking, learning a new language or a new skill. Buying only what we need reduces stress, improves mental health, keeps us humble, and prevents jealousy, greed, and unnecessary competition. It allows us to focus on what truly matters, our relationships, health, and personal values. Members of the jury, buying only what we need is a responsible choice that benefits individuals, society, and the planet. A mindful approach to spending leads to a better quality of life and a brighter future to all. Thank you.
Come next.
Mr. Speaker, don't you think when one buys what they need, he or she targets the cheaper items to save money, and those cheap items may be of low quality due to cost production and may not last long? Don't you think that contributes to overconsumption? Please state your thoughts.
Thank you for your question, Madam Interjector. But if you see, like, I need to buy a pair of shoe, so I won't buy a cheap shoe to like make it last longer. I can buy one expensive shoe instead of 5 cheap shoes or something. So I hope that answers the question.
Farhas.
You mentioned in your debate that you mentioned essentials, but how do you know what someone else needs? Essentials may vary from person to person. What may be a luxury or a want for you might be a need for someone else. What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Interjector. But some essentials are like basic Like everyone needs water, everyone needs food, everyone needs clothes. So basically, they are mostly the basic needs what a human wants. I agree that some people have different needs, like you have different, I have different, but the main thing is that most of the needs are common in everyone. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Gaurav. I now call Manasvi Gupta speaking against the motion from Allen House.
With the permission of the chairperson, I would like to begin my debate. She entered the mall, eyes focused and wide, a Saturday ritual with plenty of pride. To locate the sales, that was her plan, no whining allowed from a pet or a man. Good afternoon, Madam Chairperson, members of the jury, and my lovely audience. I would like to begin by drawing your attention to a powerful truth. When we embrace joy and happiness, we become beacons of positivity and hope shining through the darkness. So when we say that we should buy what we want rather than just buying what we need, we reduce our stress levels, whether it be based on personal or professional matters, and start radiating warmth and positivity, which we pass on to others. Because shopping can be a very therapeutic experience. So, who are we to put others on trial simply for buying what they want with their own money in their own time just to get a little joy? Ladies and gentlemen, do you realize how important shopping is for the economy of any nation? The more people buy for consumer items, the more the demand for those items increases. And so the businesses have to produce more of those items. For that, they need to employ more people. And so the unemployment rate naturally goes down. And this helps the government to collect more sales tax, which is then used in the construction of various important things like schools, roads, hospitals, and implementing schemes to reduce poverty and hunger. Whatever we buy, whether it be shoes, cosmetics, jewelry, stationery, these are all essentials and some might be wants as well. You know, there are people who are employed in the manufacturing, advertising, and shopping of all of those items. So each time we shop for an item, we are helping to secure the livelihood of so many people. Can you imagine how the unemployment rate would skyrocket worldwide if people just started buying what they needed? The stock markets would crash and people would be at the risk of losing their hard-earned money invested in mutual funds and shares. For a moment, let us just think about the humble artisans like potters and weavers. No one needs to buy their beautifully woven garments or handmade creations. So should we just stop supporting them? Think about the scores of talented musicians and dancers. No one needs to buy the best price tickets for a sitar recital or a Kathakali performance. No tourists need to buy holiday packages to gaze at the various monuments of any nation. And thank goodness that they do, because that is why the great monuments like the Taj Mahal have been taken care of so well. So when we say that we should only shop for the bare essentials, we are disrespecting the rich tapestry of our heritage and ignoring the whispers of our culture. Another point I would like to make is that variety is the spice of life. It is because consumers are guided by likes and dislikes that businesses keep coming up with new brands, colors, fragrances, models, and so many more new things. What a dull, boring, monotonous life it would be if we didn't splurge now and then. What is the harm if I buy a wind chime that soothes me as it sways with the breeze? What is the harm in buying a few extra books that I won't ever read but the sight of them pleases me? Shopping like a mirror reflects the essence of our soul, our passions, interests, and hobbies. American poet Ralph Waldo Emerson said that shopping unveils our hidden tastes, desires, and dreams, each purchasing a silent poem of who we are. So please let us shoppers be who we are. Thank you.
Silence.
Madam Speaker, in your debate, you said that happiness can be attained by shopping. But we can also attain real happiness and not material happiness by donating that money in our pocket to the needy or the poor. What are your views on that?
Thank you for your question, Madam Interjector. With the permission of the chairperson, I would like to answer your question. See, Madam Interjector, I mentioned in my debate that when we're shopping, we are actually helping to uplift the economy, right? And I also mentioned that the sales tax that we get by the businesses, the sales tax that they collect, the government uses that up to make schemes to reduce poverty and hunger. So all of this money that we are actually using up in shopping, it is actually indirectly helping so many people. And honestly, I don't think it's a need. It's not a need to donate people, right? That's also a want. So we could also want to donate money for the charity and get happiness. Now, this shopping, right? Shopping, we are buying all of these products and then we're using that up. We could be buying something for some other people which we could be donating. That's not a need, right? That's a want. So indirectly, we are helping the poor and we are donating to charity and we are helping to uplift the poor people and donating to a good cause. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, don't you think instead of splurging money on our wants, we can spend time with our friends, family or nature for that feeling of contentment we desire that people get by shopping?
Thank you for your question, Madam Interjector. With the permission of the chairperson. See, Madam Interjector, imagine you're going to the mall, right, with your friends, and you're going to go to shop for some clothes. Now that is also creating memories with your friends. You could also go with your family. That's shopping, which is we're shopping for something that we want, and we're also spending time with our friends. So we are making memories and we're creating experiences. And you said nature, right? Spending time in nature. Now for that, you also need something, right? Like you need to buy shoes, you need to buy clothes, you need to buy many more things to spend time with nature. And honestly, creating memories is also a very relative thing, right? Now, I might enjoy shopping, you might enjoy spending time with nature. We are different people. This is a very relative thing. Now, if you enjoy spending time with nature, you can do it. You're most welcome. But I like shopping, and I get happiness from that, and it's a therapeutic experience for me. And we're talking about about the major people over here, and we can also involve shopping with making memories and spending time with our friends and making bonds stronger. Thank you.